This is Melanie. Say hi to Melanie, everybody. So yesterday I did a balayage technique on Melanie, and I'll talk about that. And Phillip prepped her haircut for you guys. Normally what I would do if I was in the salon with this is the result, but I would probably have melted the root with a toner, brought something down for you guys, but this is just raw. What I did is I did the balayage, I used Matrix Light Master, and I added my B3 always for protection. And this is the results that I got from that balayage. What I want to show you guys today, instead of actually doing a toner like we would, you know, like to do a blonde toner to get your beigey or caramel or whatever it is that you're looking for, we're gonna actually use fashion colors from Colt, adding B3 an 1/8 of an ounce into each bowl, and we're gonna actually give her a really muted, wearable, we call it overlay, a fashion color overlay that actually more clients may be apt to do, where they can actually go to work and live their everyday lives. Does that sound cool with you guys? All right, cool.
Yep. And then also, before he did the balayage, she was very, very heavy on the ends with lightning. So that's why he kind of went heavier, but still leaving some contrast here. And I told him, you know, it's very important to communicate together, hey, this is where I'm going to be cutting some layers, or this is what I'm going to be doing here. So therefore, that's why he added these specific ones here around the face, because as you all probably know, we're going to face frame and add some little bit of layers here too in the back. Also in a way where they will melt together and you won't see that, you know, 1, 2, 3 type of look.
And what's really cool, it's kind of an accident, we'll get into it right now, but something I found, it was kind of an idea. We had to do the overlay over a balayage and not do the full bleach out for some of our clients. That I keep getting clients asking me now more and more, like, I just want a little pop of pink or a pop of this, but I don't want my whole hair bleached out. What I found is if you use the right colors, pinks, violets, you can actually tone out unwanted brassy tones, and when the color fades out, you get this beautiful blonde. So I've actually been doing that, and then my clients, after a few weeks, they have a beautiful blonde color, and it actually looks like I did a regular toner. So it's just kind of a cute, fun trick if you want to give your clients some fun hair for like a month or so, and then go and do a really beautiful blonde if they can't come back in to get that redone.
Yeah, this way they're not, you and the client is not like committed to doing a full bleach and all that whole thing. Not that that's not cool, because as we all know, that's an amazing thing. But this is sort of that halfway mark. And also, as you know, you can always mute down the tones as much as you need, so they can have a little fun and then be left over with still a beautiful balayage.
And we're getting all chatty. Should we get into some hair, guys? All right. So what I'm going to do now is I want to show you the technique that I did on our lovely model, Melanie. I'm going to bring out Isabella and show you guys the technique of balayage that I use in the salon. So come on out.
Let's give her a round of applause, you guys.
Give her a round of applause. And you guys, you can stand up for 1 second and just do a turn. We walked through the whole show floor. We walked everywhere. I pre-did this a little while ago, but it stayed. If you get that right consistency, for me, lightning, people ask me a lot, you don't use cotton or plastic. How do you not get bleed marks? Some people comment like, I don't believe you, you know, like, you know how it is on Instagram. But if you have the right consistency and the right lightener and you understand your lightener, you actually, I feel like you don't need to, once you're comfortable, you really don't need to always separate it if you have that right consistency. If you guys notice, there's no bleed marks in her hair, and I don't have anything separating that, and that would be the case going through her hair. So I want to show you guys the way that I balayage. Here it is. My Fremar Power Painter. Can't live without it. It's like my secret weapon. So the way I balayage, it's called two-pointed zigzag balayage. It's super simple. I usually hit 2 points and then bring them together. I'll demonstrate that for you right now. And then when I mean zigzag, I just mean that every section, if my point is here and here, on my next section, my point is going to be in the middle and on the side. And I just work my way through the hair that way. A lot of times a little trick that I do, I wanted to do it today, but I just wanted to make sure we could give you guys as much information as possible. I love to have my clients flip their hair over, and I'll actually paint the underneath all the way through at every point in the nape area, and then have them flip back. And that way you get a really nice, beautiful hue of blonde underneath coming over the ends. And also if they twist their hair up, they have some nice balayage going over the back. So here we go. She had asked me on the way here, like, is my hair going to be okay? I was like, yeah, we're adding B3 in it. Of course it's going to be okay. So
you guys, as he gets going with his application a little bit, I know, Alfredo, you're going to talk a little bit about the way you apply and kind of a couple things that you usually look out for when you're balayaging.
So when I apply right now, I'm adding my B3. And it all depends on my client. Like with B3 on her, with open air balayage, it's always different. When I do foils, because I do foils, guys, when I do that, I'm going to use like 10 volume, 20 volume. When I do balayage, I usually use 30 or 40, and I double mix. So because I double mix, I'm going to add not only a quarter of B3, but if you double mix, you double add. So for balayage, it's supposed to be a 1/4 ounce. I actually put a 1/2 ounce in my mixture right now. And if you notice, it had dried out just a little bit from the walk over here. But what's great is adding B3, it's got oil, so there's no added processing time. There's no water that's gonna bring it down. And I love that. And also what I like is the slip. So added with that Light Master by Matrix. Do you guys see how nice that is? It's just a really nice, I don't know if you guys can see it down there, but it's kind of like Cool Whip is what I'm looking for. So to me, that's that perfect consistency. I don't want it too runny, but I don't want it too dry. If it's too dry, it's gonna dry out too fast. But if it's this way, kind of like a nice Cool Whip mixture, it's gonna stay, it's gonna keep lightening, and I'll get about a good 40 minutes to an hour of lift if I need it without any drying out.
Awesome. So how many of you guys right now are using B3 or using a bond builder? Show of hands, okay. For those of you using B3, keep your hand up. And those of you using other bond builders, what are you guys using? Let me hear some names. Olaplex. Never heard of that. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. I never talk bad about another product, you guys. We have to give a lot of credit to Olaplex for coming out with something really revolutionary. We don't do color. We don't look at color the same. But it's a common theme when one company comes out with something truly amazing, you get 50 other companies that come out with their own version of it. And then how do we decide as hairstylists what's right to use for us, what's right for our clients? So when we stepped in the bond building category about 5 or 6 years ago, we wanted to do 3 things in particular to really separate ourselves from the competition. The first thing is we wanted to make it simple to use. So I'll hop over to Alfredo in just a second. He can talk a little bit about how simple it is to use. But the second thing is we wanted to make it cost effective. We're by far one of the lowest cost per applications of any bond builder on the market. And then the third thing is we wanted to make it effective not just universally across all color brands, but all types of color services as well. I think when bond building first came out, we designated it more for just bleach and high lift. Do you guys agree? Yeah. Now we're starting to use these bond builders in every type of color along the way and actually seeing a benefit from it. So Alfredo, let's talk a little bit about the simplicity. Now, Alfredo and I go way back. You guys know Alfredo's been with us since the beginning pretty much. And doing all these shows together, I learned so much from Alfredo just from his color and his application. But also, what do you find is a little bit different? And I know we've tested different bond builders before. What do you find is a little bit different about using B3?
I mean, I think they're all great, and I'm always like, use what you love, use what works for you. But what I love about B3 is it's simple to use and it works. So it's only one step. You add it in. You don't have to do a step 2 or 3. And it just, for me, it like slowed down my processing sometimes because I had to up my developer. And especially me being a balayage free painter artist, if I'm using 40, I can't really use 50 or 60, right? Or I wouldn't want to. So it's slowing me down
for
a little bit.
Other bond builders.
Yeah, okay. And not that that's good or a bad thing. It's just it's really easy for me to use. And I also love the shine that you get with B3 because it's an oil delivery system. So a lot of the colors I use are oil-based. So I feel like water and oil sometimes may not mix. So for fashion colors, it could dilute it a little bit. Like if you're using like a pure pigment blue and you add water, it's gonna probably dilute it a little bit, like adding conditioner or something. So what I like about B3 is you get that true tonality, especially with like the fashion colors and the toners.
And it's just really easy. You said just add it in basically to anything that you're doing. You put it in
I put it in everything.
Yeah.
So I put it in my one process color. One thing I love, if you guys don't know, with B3, how many of you guys have clients, I know gray isn't sexy, like talking about gray coverage, but it's our bread and butter, right? Like, if I didn't have my gray ladies coming in needing their root touch-ups every 3 weeks, right? So what I love about B3 is you can add it into those formulas and you actually get better coverage. So my clients that come in and they're like, oh, I still see 2 grays, those pesky, like the stubborn grays, it'll actually help that gray cover and you'll get better coverage with your grays. So that's something I feel like we don't talk about enough with B3 because it's definitely a huge thing that I see in my clients noticing what it does. And I use it in that. So it's not, I think the misconception is sometimes it's just for fashion color or lightener.
Right.
It's really for longer lasting toners, better gray coverage.
There's so many different benefits and properties to using B3 in each type of color. So we talked about the simplicity is just adding it in. No second step. There's no water in the product, so it doesn't slow down the efficacy of your lightener. You can still lift nice and bright. But when you use it in each type of color service, you're also going to get a benefit, right? So toners, like Alfredo mentioned, it helps to drive the toner toner in and actually attach the color molecules to the hair. So your colors last longer. Anybody ever tone somebody extremely over-processed and porous and the toner grabs in certain areas, right? B3 has an equalizing property that balances the pH and gives you more of a clean and equal deposit. So you can use it for equal deposit, but also equal lift when you're doing color corrections. So use it in your lightener, use it in your toners. When you use it in fashion shades, it helps to drive that color and make it act more like a color and less like a stain. So really just across the board, now we see a lot of stylists going from adding on a $20, $30 ticket to each client to just sort of building it into their pricing. And I know that that's what you do in the salon as well, Alfredo, right?
I do. I just up my prices across the board. I used to ask, but I just don't ask anymore. I feel like nowadays bond builders are like the new normal. So I think we should all just raise our prices, and it's because we're giving them that added service, like longer lasting color, no damage. It's kind of a no-brainer. So I raised all my prices by $25 to $50 across the board.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now your cost per application with B3 is about $2 each time you use it. So if you raised it only 20, you're making 10 times your money back, which is really amazing. This bottle right here, this is our professional size bottle. How many of you guys here consider yourself a colorist? Show of hands. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a low ball statistic. Your average colorist will take 3 color clients a day, right? You guys probably take more. But let's say you only take 3, and each time you charge for B3, if you charged line item, it'd be $20 on average, right? 20, 40, 60 at the end of the day. At the end of an average 20-day work month, you're making an extra $1,200 by just adding a product in that's going to make your color last longer, protect the hair, right? Give them heat protection and add shine to their hair. So like Alfredo said, we don't really ask our clients anymore. How many of you guys would feel comfortable saying, hey, do you want me to damage your hair today? Do you want me to not damage your hair today, right? That just doesn't make any sense. So if we have the tools and the technology to make your color look better, last longer, and protect your hair, of course we're going to be using something along those lines. So
yeah, right now I'm just doing my last section. And one thing, how many people, let me hear my balayage people. Yeah? So when I balayage, I love doing all kinds of highlights. Obviously, sometimes if I have a client that wants to go super like Khloe Kardashian or something in one day, you got to use foil, right? You got to insulate that. But balayage is my passion for sure. And what I love about it is the freedom. I kind of just look at the hair as a canvas, and I do my zigzag technique, but then I kind of just come back and I'll go back and I'll look at sections or spots where I maybe want to put like a half highlight, and I can just paint it on there. Kind of just like I'm painting a picture of I really paint exactly where I want to see the highlight. Whereas in foil, it's a little more uniform and perfect, you know, the way that I do it.
Yeah, so basically, I added some face frame here, took out some weight through some concave layering as well. First of all, who does both cut and color in here, not just color? Okay.
All right, I love that.
And are there any who just cut? Awesome. Well,
are there any who
you never know?
Are there any who just color?
Thing. But what I was going to say, though,
just colorist? No?
Is one of my favorite things also is, if you haven't heard of it, the B3, the demi-permanent conditioning service, the treatment. So essentially, you use the mask, you put in some B3, mix it up, put it in the hair, use some heat. For me, as a primarily cutter and styler, although I do color here and there, it's a great add-on service as well. You know, so if your haircut's X amount, you can always add more, you know, so to keep your tickets higher. And quite honestly, 10 to 15 minutes extra, especially if you're running behind, it's a good way to add on. And it actually, when you're dealing with, you know, colorists who do a lot of balayage, a lot of bleaching, it's very great.
It's good. We really work well together. I see. It seems like a lot of you guys do both, but we work in the same salon, so we have consultations together with our clients. So we plan it out. Sometimes he'll cut first, sometimes I'll color first. It all depends on what the end goal is. And we really like, because the worst thing for me, like, is if you work with somebody and you do this beautiful balayage or color and then they cut it all out. Have you guys ever had that happen? So, but Phillip and I don't have that problem. We communicate really well together, and you know, we kind of work as a team because we know that the end result is like a reflection of both of our work.
Yeah.
So
instead of the no.